Episode 454. This particular penny roll has been staring me in the face for some time, and it's all taped up. And I'm thinking, like, why does that matter, you know? And I guess in a sense, it kind of reminds me of opening up a gift on Christmas. In a sense, like, what's inside, you know? And I think that's part of what people like. Now, let me see if I could do it without. Will it come out? No, yeah. Come on, you screw. I should have did this off camera. Oh, there it goes. All right, no big deal. It was a little. All right, so we got some copper here. That's good. How much copper we got? We might have over 10 coppers here. All right, that would be great. That's always what I'm looking for. Or hoping for, I should say. Can't look for it. It's either there or it's not. All right. What are we going to talk about today? Everybody's broke. That's for sure. As far as I know, anyway. Now the question is, were we always broke? I don't think so. You know, when the economy is doing well, there's inflation is low, and the ratio of income to prices is fair. You know, I mean, eggs were $1 something not too long ago. You know, I paid 30. We paid 30. I think it was $36 or $38 for one of those 3 dozens of eggs. So we paid $12 a dozen for 36 eggs. We paid $38. So we paid $12 a dozen for eggs. The last time we went shopping, so a couple weeks ago. I was looking for the close AM, right? Yes, the wide AM. I knew there was something I was staring at this penny for. So, and now we're looking for the wide AM. Oh, nice edge. So there's that. No flared G. Missing line dime. First copper penny? No, I don't think so. No. No, I could tell. It's just really brown. And it makes things a little rougher, you know. When the economy was doing well, let me have some coffee. And I sold. Now, this is what I remember. I talk to my wife about this all the time. And I feel like one of those old men who remember when the prices were this, remember when the prices were that. I mean, I used to hear people talk like that when I was a kid all the time. And I gotta be honest, it got me annoyed. I was like, oh man, quit it already, man, you know? Meanwhile, you know, I became that person. And die clash. Pretty strong too. No head though. Just the body. When I had my eBay store, another die clash, it looks like. Yeah. When I had my eBay store, so this is what I remember from the 2020s. eBay was huge. 82, that's nice. eBay was huge, and everybody was selling, everybody was buying, everybody had money, everybody had a new car. Matter of fact, that's the year I got my car. 2020 was the nicest car that I ever kept. I had nice cars, and I got rid of them after a couple years, either because I couldn't afford them. That's the reason. And one I got in 2020 is the first time I ever paid off a car and kept it. First time in my life. So 2020, I remember the economy was doing great. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, and I don't remember hearing anybody complaining about the economy. I remember people finding things in the street, family members telling me, "Yeah, but I found this whatever." My cousin used to find computers, open them up, and then sell the RAM and whatever he found in it that he could take out. That was, and he would sell them. He would make some money off that. I mean, just things were just you don't see. I haven't seen a computer in the street in at least 5, 10 years. They used to be in the street all the time, man. That's because people were buying them all the time. Now it's like you buy a computer, it's gotta last you. It's like an investment almost, But back then it was like, yeah, you got a computer, you threw it out, you put it in the street, and you just bought another one, no big deal. And you played. Now it's like, no, you got to hold on to them. You never know, you might not be able to afford another one, And it's kind of nuts. It's kind of nuts. It's sad, really, is what it is. Now, I'm not going to go into the whole what's going on in other countries and all that, because obviously, compared to us, what's going on in other countries is this is nothing. I mean, they would be happy to be here, and they would trace their problems for hours in a heartbeat. So I got it. I understand all that. Just from a totally subjective, right, perspective, meaning, I only found one copper. This was a total. I don't want to say. I might have to open up another pack. This might be a 2-pack day. I'm going through it pretty quick too. And I'm telling you, the only copper I got is that 82 so far. What a rip. What a rip. Anyway, I'm having a nice conversation with you, so maybe you'll stick around. I mean, we got those 2 die clashes, but they're on zincs. And I'm going to tell you, I'm working up to the story, right? So we're going to do another penny roll, because I'm getting through this pretty fast. If I find anything interesting, I'll put it to the side. So this should be a copper penny. No, no. Look at this. It's just a super dirty. Oh, look, we got die clash, you think? Oh, I like it, though. I'll put this one to the side, too. It's pretty cool looking. I'll grab another probably dud penny roll. This got to be copper. This is copper. Right? Okay, all right. This is another 82. That is crazy. And this one has a die clash. I mean, it's doubled. Oh, that's nice. It's doubled. I don't know if it's a double die, but it's doubled. Put it to the side. All right. So in 2020, right? So I'm gonna be nostalgic of yesteryear, and those of you who are those of you who agree or who remember the 2020s, and maybe you had an eBay store or whatever, another online store. Maybe you had a job that paid better then than now. You know what I mean? Crazy stuff. then you're gonna empathize with what I'm saying. You're gonna be like, yeah, I remember that. Remember the member berries from South Park? Member? And that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna member. We're gonna member today. Member when eggs used to cost $1? Member? Remember when people used to throw computers out in the street? Remember? And we're gonna remember some of the stuff. But there's really one story that I want to talk about, and it's this chick on. It's so funny, man. These people and I who I used to watch, I don't even see them anymore. Like they don't even show up as recommended, man. It's crazy. So there was this chick, this married chick, and her husband helped her out here and there. You would see him in the background, but she basically turned her house into an eBay store, right? And and she was pretty, and she was, what's the word I'm looking for? She was personable. She was personable. She had a really nice personality, and she had quite a few subscribers. But I think I want to say back then she had like 20 or 30, maybe even 50,000 subscribers. All right, here's number two. 50,000. She had a pretty big channel for an eBay store. There were other people who I like their eBay stores and their channels, and they only had you know um, 400 or 500 subscribers. But I like their content, so I didn't care about that stuff. Oh, there's one left. There was an extra one in there. All right. So she had this, and you might know who I'm talking about. I forgot what the name of her store was, or I would shout her out. But you'll know who I'm talking about if you watch eBay stores and people selling stuff. But she called something like resale Jen or something like that. Anyway, she was a white chick, and she had straight long hair, and she usually kept it in a ponytail. So I don't know if that helps out. Anyway, and I never forget one of the things that she said. Remember, I had my eBay store and she had her eBay store. Hers was, she sold clothes. Most of what she did was, she would go around and she knew about clothes, man. This chick knew about clothes. She went in and you would see her going through, she videotaped herself when she was in like the Salvation Army. And look how much like copper, this is the 83, the first year, no copper pennies. And look, they had look how much it looks like copper compared to like the later years where you're like, 100% it's zinc. And she would be going through the rack of clothes, 87, no, you're looking for the double, 97, look for the double ear. And you would hear her going, oh, this is worth $5. I sold this last week for $20. And she knew all the clothes, man. It was crazy. And it was one of the things that was cool about John. Like she knew her clothes, man. So 92, we're looking for the close AM. No close AM. And she would also, she would go through the clothes. She would tell you how much the clothes cost and was worth and how much she sold them for. She would take the good ones home, and then she would show the prices like, oh, look at this. I sold on eBay last week for $100. I bought it for 50 cents at the Goodwill. And that was pretty cool. I don't see too many 2010 Ds. And then she would talk about her eBay store. She would show her eBay store, right? So on her eBay store, 62D, that's nice. That's the oldest one we found in 2 penny rolls so far. In her eBay store, she would show what she was selling and what sold and how much they sold it for. And she said, and I never forget this, that she sold, what did she sell? Hold on. I don't want to misspeak. I can't remember. It was high, man. And she sold about 5 to 10% of her total inventory per month. Let's call it 5%. I don't want to oversell. You know what I mean? It could have been 10%. It could have even been 15. Basically, she sold out her whole store every close to her whole store every year, right? So if she listed 1,000 items, she sold 1,000 items a year. Okay. Now, obviously, if she listed 1,000, then she still has the 1,000, right? If you list 1,000 and you sell 1,000 a year per year, then you sold 100% of your store, but you also listed 100% of the store. But you sold 100% of your store back then. And I'm telling you, and this is the funny thing, from September of 2020, excuse me, from January of 2020 to September of 2020, in 9 months. And then because of the whole tax thing, I'll be honest, because of the tax thing, I stopped selling. Because I was watching what I was selling. I didn't want to go over because I didn't want to pay, I didn't want to get the 1099. So in those 9 months, I sold 70% of my store. So I had like 1,000 items. I sold 700 items in 9 months. And I probably would have sold, maybe I wouldn't have sold everything. Maybe those were the things that were kind of undesirable. But let's say I would have continued to list good stuff. I probably would have sold 1,000 items in 12 months. You follow what I'm saying or no? So her experience was what was also my experience. And I wasn't big time. I'm talking about chump change, man. You know what I'm saying? And her store also, now her stuff was selling, she had more expensive stuff. I had cheaper stuff, Obviously, I'm talking about, but anyway, not much. But the point was, I was on cue to selling 100% of my store, just like she said. And that's how things were back then. No white AM. People had money and people bought. When people have money, they spend it, man. That's my point. And right now, if you have 1,000 items in your store, you might not sell anything for a week. Forget about selling your 1,000 items. I mean, think about it. If you have 1,000 items and you sold 1,000 items in a year, let's do that math real quick. I think it comes out to it's about 3 items a day. So let's 1,000 divided by 365. 2.73 items a day you're selling with 1,000. I mean, going by the my experience and this lady's experience from 2020. But again, we're not talking about getting rich or anything. But I mean, imagine if you had a job, right? I mean, I was working. I had a job back then, and then I sold some stuff. It was cool, man. It was cool. Oh, that's nice. Finally in that real era. I don't know if that's called delaminated. That might be a delamination, where it's missing part of the clad. That's pretty cool. That's might be our. Well, we found those die clashes. So that's the way things were, man. We're talking about 5 years ago. You know what I mean? We're not talking about friggin' 30 years ago. We're talking about 5 years ago, man. No white AM. And that is sad. How in 5 years the country could go from doing great to doing like crap. You know? That extra pocket money was everything, man. If you could make an extra 10 G's, let's say after taxes, shipping, eBay fees, you know what I mean? If they kept the 20,000 thing going on again, which they're not, I think it's down to like 5,000 now. If you make over 5, you get, and I think that they plan on it's going to get down to 600. If I remember correctly, they showed it, and this year might be like 5,000, and next year 600 again. So I don't know why no one's talking about that, because that was that extra pocket change. It killed stuff, man. Even at, I mean, do you know that there was you paid nothing, because on eBay 20 years ago there was no tax, shipping was like $1, tracking was like 50 cents extra if you wanted tracking, and there was no sales tax. Remember, you're talking about stuff that you paid tax on already, right? You bought something, you paid taxes on it, then you sell it, you pay tax. That's double taxation. You know what I'm saying? And that's why there was no, and everybody understood that. Now all of a sudden, I mean, unless Trump gets this thing put through, which I gotta say, man, I'm skeptical. I'm not gonna hold my breath for it, man. If he gets this 150,000, no, remember, it's federal. You still got to pay your state and local, I'm pretty sure, but federal is the big one. If he does that, that'll put it an extra, on 150 G's. You're talking about, um, if there's no sales tax, is like, excuse me, federal income tax. I'm gonna just make it up. It's like at least 10%. If you're talking about 150,000, it's like 15 grand minimum. Minimum. It could be more. It could be less. All right, we got a 17p. That's good. Um, Whatever. I'm spitballing. I'm just throwing a number out there. But that's a big number, man. You know what that is? 15 grand. You can make 150 G's and save 15 grand. And that's if it's 10. If it's 15, it's 20. It's 23 grand. You know what kind of extra scratch we're talking about for us poor losers? 15, 20 grand? Oh, man, that's you're talking about. That's more than the 90% of people's savings accounts right now. So this is the power of, we're getting taxed to death. We're getting regulated to death, man. We're getting freaking murdered. I promise you, okay, not 2007. I promise you, she's not doing. She's not selling 100% of her inventory anymore. Promise you, man. Promise you. Unless she's putting in auction and she's taking a 90% hit on it, then that's different. And yeah, of course, anybody could do that. You want to crackhead your items for, what's that? Probably just post mint damage. Yeah, anybody could sell you. You want to sell your $5,000 Rolex? Throw it on eBay on auction. Yeah, you'll get 1,500 for sure. But you should be getting 5,000 for it, right? But you can't, because no one's buying it, because people are so broke. They're selling their stuff on auction. It's what killed the sports card and the Pokemon stuff. Even though that stuff, it's hanging in there. I got to be honest with you. But there's people doing auctions 24/7 now, man. Stuff is selling for pennies. So of course, if you want to sell your $10,000 Charizard for $1,000, yeah, no problem. Throw it on eBay auction. You'll get your 1,000, but you're out 9 grand. So we're gonna have to see what happens. I get a little excited with this stuff because it's really, it changes lifestyles. I like to buy a new car again. It's been 5 years. That used to be the thing. Remember, every 5 years you bought a car. Every 5 years you bought a house. Ain't nobody moving or buying new cars that I know of, anyway. It's not happening, man. So keep the fingers crossed. Say a prayer, and that's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping for our economy to turn around, because it really changes people's moods and gives people enthusiasm. People start thinking about, you get an extra, let's say you make an extra 20 grand, right? Now you got 20 grand you didn't have before. Now, are you going to save it? You're not going to save it, man, because you're like, you want your life to be better. You want your life to be better today than it was yesterday. You're not going to save it. You're going to spend most of it. And a lot of people say, oh, you know what? I'm going to take that 20 grand. I'm going to start up a business. and they're going to reinvest it back into it. It becomes a whole synergistic snowball, where people want to do want to become their Americans are entrepreneurs, by nature. It's in our blood, man. Even if you're from another country, you came here or you're happy to be here so you can make a buck. And that whole thing is like, it's like dead, man. Right now, I'm saying. So I like to see that come back. You know, um, I like to see people buying new cars. Oh, look at the car this person bought. I haven't said something like that in years. I mean, from my perspective, and I tried to relate it to this lady from 5 years ago, and her and what she was saying, because it was shared. So I'm assuming that there's people who understand who are can empathize and understand what I'm talking about. So we'll see what happens. Obviously, this is the last penny. So, I got another 82. Not too much. Let me tell you, this was for 2 penny rolls. We didn't find too much copper. I'll put this 82 with the other 82. I think is it copper? I'd have to weigh it. Might not be copper. Might be zinc. I'd have to weigh it. Look at that space above the 82. You see it? I wonder if that's a polished area. Polished die. So, all right. So that was I always wanted to talk about that online. I talk with my wife about that on occasion. And when I speak about that lady's eBay store, because it almost seems like a fantasy. You know what I mean? Like, talk, like if like if making money is like talking about Puff the Magic Dragon or something. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's my point. It's like, yo, this isn't fantasy, man. This was reality only 5 years ago. It's not like I'm not talking about 20 years ago when there was a regime change in the country. You know what I mean? When we had a monarchy, and then there was a revolution. We're talking about 5 years ago, man. One presidency removed, and the whole country was different, man. And that's all. So that's my rant for today. God bless us. Episode, what's this? 450, 454. I'll see you in 455. God bless.